Welcome to Gardening Hacks. This is the video for June 1st, 2023. And I wanted to start off by showing y'all my little greenhouse because I'm going to tell you something later and so you have it for reference. This is the little Harbor Freight greenhouse we bought. And that table is my little area where I clean my vegetables outside to keep some bugs from going inside. I have water in the greenhouse, so that makes that pretty easy. Let's go in the garden. Sunflowers right off the bat, right at the gate. My little grandson planted these from seeds a few months ago. And then we have some that are over 6 foot tall, but my husband is 6'2", and these sunflowers are taller than him, so they might be pushing 7 foot tall. And what I'll do with these ones that are starting to dry out is let them dry on the vine so that I can save the seeds and always plant these sunflowers that my grandson grew. See right here, I've got some nice looking healthy grass growing. If y'all do one of these rock paths or something, make sure you're tucking it up underneath the borders of the garden beds to help keep that grass from growing. But that's probably the healthiest looking grass I have in my yard. We'll start off with the zucchini bed. This is the regular one. This is the one I call the grocery store zucchini. You can see it right down there. I've got one that needs to be picked. There's probably a few more of those. But that's just the regular green zucchini you get at the grocery store, basically. These plants are doing awesome. We've been able to pick about 8 of those in the month of May. And these ones right here with these big leaves. And that is variegated vines on those leaves. It's variegated. That is not powdery mildew. It's just the way these leaves look. These are the little round ball zucchinis. I've seen them called 8-ball zucchini too. Got 3 of them right there that are ready to be picked. One of them's over ready to be picked. These you're wanting to pick about baseball or softball size. I like to try to get them to softball size. I don't mind if my zucchini's a little overgrown because I put it in stews anyway, or sliced up and use it for zucchini noodles. This round stuff has like a little green slime to it, so I don't like making zucchini noodles with it. I like to use the regular ones for that. But I dehydrate this, chop it up and put it in the freezer. There's some more I need to pick in there. We didn't have rain for about a week, and then we got 2 days of good showers and everything's popping in the garden. But we picked over 20, I want to say close to 25 of these for the month of May, which is pretty awesome. They have more than paid for themselves. Okay, and for reference, that's my greenhouse right outside the garden. Come over here, this little storage area behind the greenhouse. That's my little garden and shed where I keep my fertilizers and tools in there. And then I have this little junk area right here because I need a bigger garden shed. But behind that, see that 6 foot opening right there, is the back of my garden, and that's just an area that has grown up. This fall, winter, when it cools off, we'll be clearing all of that out and putting the greenhouse back there, and that'll be my storage area where my greenhouse is. Come over here. Let me back up so y'all can get a better view of this. This is my cucumber vines. There's probably about 8 cucumber vines in there. It goes all the way up. That's about over 8 foot tall, especially with the shade over it. And you can see that they're now growing over the top of the shade area. In the month of May, we picked about 50 out of this little area of the cucumbers. These are just the Market More cucumbers and some pickling cucumbers. That's a random pepper because I had extras that I grew. I just kind of stuck them where I had room for them. That's my deep watering system that we've talked about in other videos that help it when it gets really dry. It helps me get water farther down in the soil to the roots to keep the plants healthier. because the roots are going farther down to look for their own water instead of me having to give them water all the time. Close up. Cucumber flowers, they're so cute. And I'm sorry about the volume on my first video, which was my first garden tour of this one. I thought it sounded loud enough, but it wasn't when I uploaded it. And I got a microphone on this time, and I moved it because when I first got the microphone, I sounded like a mouth breather. So now I've got it on my pocket, so hopefully this video will be better. I'm working on it. I'm new to this. But I'm basically doing gardening tours and talking about gardening to help people learn how to grow a garden. It's not as hard as a lot of people say it has to be. It's not as expensive as a lot of people say it has to be. You can do this on a budget. And I'm just going to show you the tips and tricks that I use and I've learned in my garden, and hopefully it'll help somebody else and encourage somebody else to grow their own food. That's why the channel is called Gardening Hacks. Here's my tiny Tasters volunteer tomato from last year. If you like these videos and you're having a hard time finding my channel, because there's a lot of people that have the hashtag gardening hacks in their stuff, YouTube has made it now where you can use the symbol @ in the search area and then put in gardening, ING at the end, hack, HACK, and that will bring you to my channel. Or you can like and subscribe. If you subscribe to the videos, then YouTube will tell you when a new one comes out, as long as you're logged in under an account in YouTube, which is free to make and do. This is the back of the cucumber vines, looking nice and healthy. Hopefully I'm going slow enough with my camera. I'm going to kind of pull my tags out on some of these tomato plants so that we can see what they actually are. This one, well, I have about 3 to 4 of each kind. This is a Korean long. Trying some new varieties this year, trying to find some that do better with our heat and humidity. Let me see. Let me show you how pretty these tomatoes are. Oh, there they are. Aren't they pretty? They look like long peppers. And they're getting bigger. But I'm going to show you another one that kind of looks like that too, but it's a different name, or supposedly it was something different. So when we get farther down, but that was the Korean long. And this is another Korean long plant. See all the pretty peppers on it? I mean the tomatoes. They look like peppers. Right there. Nice big ones down there that are getting big. They kind of stayed small for a while, and I was wondering if they were going to get bigger, but after that rain, it looks like they're getting bigger. I had a couple of them, see down there on the ground, fall off and look like they had some blossom rot on them, end rot. So I just came in and added, I knew they had enough water. I added some lime to the soil for calcium, because usually that's what it means. If you know you're giving them enough water and the proper water, then it's usually a calcium deficiency that's causing that. And this is that white Armenian cucumber that I'm trying out. Has made it from the bottom of this bed all the way up and is trying to grow up the tomato trellis, which is pretty cool. I don't know what those taste like yet. They're supposed to be just like a regular cucumber, but they're supposed to be more heat and humidity tolerant. So I'll let y'all know when we get some of those. And let me look down here and see what this tomato is. This tomato plants are going to be the Super Sweet 100 hybrid. If you look back there, you can see some. I don't mind if the tomatoes are on the ground growing. I keep everything pretty much covered with a leaf compost that I just rake up in the fall and put in the garden. See a little red down there. Yay. We've gotten 2 of the cherry sun golds out of this garden so far on the tomatoes, but we have tons of them starting to come ripe. Like I said, I let them grow wild. Try to keep them trimmed a little bit at the bottom for airflow. Try not to let too many leaves touch the ground to help with bug issues. And the little flowers you see in there are zinnias. Tomatoes are overtaking those too. These are all growing great. And let's see what this variety is. This is a couple of them mixed together, I'll tell you right now. This one is going to be the Celebrity Hybrid. Look at that bad boy. I've never gotten tomatoes like that. Can you see right in there, that brown stuff? That's kind of the blossom end rot I was talking about on it. I'm going to have a little bug crusher in here too. But I've got a bunch of those growing. And it's producing. And then I'll show you back there a little bit. That's my fence. That's the back part we're talking about. We're fixing to clear out. My husband's going to put a gate access back there for me and get some of that mowed down so I can at least get back there and pick the tomatoes off the back of the fence and the cucumbers. And then we'll work on getting it ready for the greenhouse to move later on in the fall and the winter when it's cooler here. And then mix right in with this. Let me read this tag for y'all. Okay. These, not the big ones, these are the Sun Gold tomatoes. And I've heard a lot of gardening channels talk about how good these were. They're really pretty. So we decided to grow some of these. Happened to find a little plant in the local nursery. Bought one. Actually, I bought, it was a 3-pack. So there's 3 of them shoved in there. And there's some that are about ripe. They turn orange when they're ripe. They turn yellow and then they're orange. Orange is what you're looking for. Excuse me. But I tasted one of those, and it was good and juicy, and I liked it a lot. It was much better than the old plain old ones you get in the pack at the grocery store to put on your salads. And it seems to be doing pretty good with our weather conditions. We go over here. Now this is that what I told you to remember, the first one I showed you. This tomato plant I got off Amazon the seeds, and it just said pepper-shaped tomatoes, and supposedly they're supposed to be as big as your hand, and it's supposed to be 9 foot tall. Real plain packaging. Don't have any as big as my hand. It is not 9 foot tall. That top of my trellis is probably a little over 5 foot tall. But some of that might be that my soil just needs more nutrient in it, even though my plants look good. So I'm going to start doing I already started in this garden with the compost tea, which I'll tell y'all and show y'all how to make in a video with that. It's real quick and easy, and you just use what you have on hand to help add nutrients back to your soil. That's one of my deep water drainage pipes that we use in the gardens. But anyway, I digress. Let me show you these things. Look right there at those pepper-shaped tomatoes, which look oddly similar to the other ones I showed you. So I'm thinking it might actually be close to the same thing. Just somebody has labeled it different and selling the seeds under a different name. There's some more back there. But these are small clusters, kind of like you see in a cherry tomato, but they're bigger than that. So we'll see what these end up doing. And if you don't know, or just a reminder, shake your tomato plants once a day so that they will pollinate themselves. And you'll get a lot more tomatoes, and you don't have to worry about the pollinators getting every one of these things. Tomatoes, you can actually do that yourself. And yes, I have tomato plants growing out here out of the garden bed, but I just kind of maintain them a little bit. I don't have the heart to cut them. They've got tomatoes already growing on them. And then this one, wonder where the tag went. It is clearly a different tomato because it's round. It's a slicer tomato. How pretty that cluster right there is. I thought I had all my tags pulled out where I could read them. But this one has got lost in the jungle. So this one is unknown slicer. Seems to be doing awesome. And I don't care if I know the names of the tomatoes or not. If it does great at the end of the season, I'll let a couple of them get overripe, save the seeds from the overripe ones, and plant them again next year. And that way I'll have my own seeds and won't have to keep buying seeds. Come over here. This is the celebrity I bought and was way overgrown for its pot at the garden center. Should have left it there. Had planned transplant shot, and they look terrible, so we'll see what they do. It looks like it's trying to produce. It's a little batch of marigolds I did from seed. Got marigolds, nasturtiums, and zinnias scattered about for the pollinators and to make it look pretty. That's a patch of zinnias. I do the same thing with all of my stuff. Let the flower, if it's going to go to seed, dry out, or cut it and bring it in the house and let it dry out. Once you know it's at full bloom, let them dry out really good. Save the seeds. Use those as your seeds for the next year so it doesn't cost you so much. These are pepper plants. 2 are doing awesome. 1 is sad. And even though these are supposed to be the same thing, which are the sweet pepper giant Marconi. Look how pretty those are growing. This is another one that I heard a lot of gardeners say that it produces a lot. So I wanted to try it and see how it did in my garden. And it is definitely starting to put on peppers. This is my other sad one from the nursery. And I think it's supposed to be cut down and pulled out of there. It don't get attacked together. We have plenty. That's why I plant a lot. This is some more peppers. This is just regular bell peppers. It's California Wonders. They're doing all right. Getting up to size. But that's the, spin you around so you can kind of get an idea of how big it is. That's the back L of the garden. And there's the greenhouse. I wanted to show you something cool back there. You see that tree back there with the white flowers on it? And then I have another one. That's a giant overgrown holly. And then that one right there, those are volunteer elderberries that the birds brought in a couple years ago with a storm. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully I'll be able to harvest on those this year. You have to wait for the berry to be black before you harvest them. And then you have to cook them, like boil them and cook them for at least 10 minutes before you can do anything with them. So don't forget that. I'll probably dehydrate a bunch of them, mark the jar. And then if we want to use them for elderberry syrup or elderberry cough syrup, and pull them out and use them. Just remember you have to always cook them for at least 10 minutes before you use them. Okay, and then I'm going to turn y'all around. This is my composting bed that we're working on. Hoping to have that ready for the fall. Come over here to this bed. And these are my seedlings that I put out. Ended up having to put some compost tea on those. They were looking really stunted. That's going to be some more zucchini ram cake like I have in the back garden. If you haven't seen that, watch the kitchen garden tour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5, and that's a sunflower at the end of this one. But I'm hoping they'll grow up and fill up this trellis netting we did. Those are pretty cool. And then this bed is full of miscellaneous. These were planted way later. Okra. We have watermelon and pumpkin growing. I think this is the pumpkin side, and then the other side's the watermelon. Put sunflowers all around the edges. And you can see some more over here. There's something else in this bed too. Oh, there's some eggplants that are kind of stunted and not really doing anything. But I think it's lack of nutrition in the soil. So I've been doing the compost tea, and then you're not really, they say don't water in the evening because it could bring on mildew issues, but this bed stays so dry, it's better to water it in the evening. And that way it has all night to soak it up, which seems to be helping it grow better. That and the compost tea. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens. I need to get the rest of this bed covered in leaves. See, like that sad little spot. Where is it? Right here. That's what all my eggplants did. It's like the third time I've planted them. So we might not get eggplants this year, but that's all right. I'm not that big a fan. It's just filler. Let's go back over on this side. That's my bucket where I keep my worm castings in. I just buy a big bag of it, and that's one of the things I make compost tea with. That's a little nasturtium growing in this new bed. Everything I've seeded in here has not come up pretty much. I tried some tiny pepper transplants, they died too. So I have to put some more amendments in this bed and start doing compost tea and help that soil out so stuff will grow. This over here, this round bed, is a pepper bed. All these peppers were put in at the same time. And you'll notice they're all growing at different rates, so sometimes it's not you. They're just growing different. When you start seeing stuff like this, just try to help the nutrients in your soil to figure out what's stunning some of them. And that's another deep watering system in there. And I put this little trellis over the pipe. So this big pepper plant. So when it gets time, I can tie it up to that trellis to help it not get blown over in a storm. We get hurricanes and tropical storms. So when it needs a little help, it's already ready to go. We come over to this bed. It's my kale. It's what's left. We're using it as a trap crop. The bugs like it, so they kind of help stay off other stuff. And this little bed has got, I'll show you these cute tomatoes in here. They're called dwarf rainbow cherry tomatoes. We've got, it's blooming and it has fruit. Last year they died. I've never seen them, so this year, last year was a horrible gardening year. We had a drought, a bad drought, and the bugs were awful. So we're trying to go this again this year. So far so good. You can see all the leaves down there are used for mulch. It's cheap, free mulch. The compost is in the garden. The garden feeds your garden. We'll go back over here. It's back to some more of the tomato plants. And then here is the back side of my cucumber trellis. And I've just about lost my walkway through here. This cucumbers over here that are growing out is white cucumbers that I'm trying for humidity. Excuse me, keep that cucumber away from the vine. I don't want it growing up there. So, but it's about to take over this area, which happens every year, so I know pretty soon I won't be able to walk through there. So that's fine. Okay, well, thank y'all for watching my gardening tour. I'm going to start trying to do them once a week because this time of the year the garden is really exploding. If you like my channel, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos, please subscribe to my channel. And I hope this video helps somebody learn that you don't have to have all the technical knowledge to grow food. You can do it if you want to. It's not that hard, and it doesn't have to be expensive. You just got to get started and try. You'll learn as you try. And if you have the opportunity to grow from seed, if it's not too late for this year where you are, seeds are a whole lot cheaper and easier than going and buying the ready-made expensive plants at the box store. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Oh, and I wanted to tell you, out of this garden for the month of May, we ended up getting $107 of organic food, which was the cucumbers and the zucchini, because that's what's growing right now. And they're still growing, and the tomatoes are starting to ripen, so we should have way more than that for the month of June in organic vegetables that are coming out of this garden. And it's really cool to be able to just go outside and pick some fresh vegetables to throw in a salad or in your stews or whatever. The grandbabies love to come out here and pick stuff. Thank y'all for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope somebody learned something and this helps somebody. Thank you for watching Gardening Hacks, and we'll catch you next time.